And welcome to the Deuce podcast. I'm Brad.
And I'm Jeremy.
And Jeremy, we are doing episode 115. It's part of our Loose Deuce series. Oop. It's part of a Loose Deuces. What are Loose Deuces, Jeremy?
Well, I was just calling them the quels because we're looking at like all of the different kinds of
that's a nice name. Yeah.
The quels, yeah. Well, because we've talked about we always talk about sequels.
Oh.
And we've talked about prequels. We talked about spin-offs and all that kind of stuff. So we thought we'd touch on some of these other ones where there's maybe the examples are not as prevalent as some other kinds.
Yes, perhaps not. For instance, like sidequels.
Yeah.
Or paraquels.
Yeah, so last week we did a sidequel. Yes. We did Split.
Well, a couple weeks ago we did Split.
Yes, the last episode. We did Split because it's a sidequel of Unbreakable.
Right.
Yes.
Not Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
No.
Like I like to say.
That,
for some reason.
That's more of a spin-off of this one.
But the movie that we're talking about is a little bit difficult to kind of categorize, I would say, as far as sequels are concerned, or what type of, right?
Yeah, let's start off by talking about what the intention is with this.
Well, maybe we should talk about the movie itself, like what our movie is.
Yes.
Well,
so we started off by.
But let me. No.
Okay, no. All right, but
you go.
Okay. We were aiming to do Paraquels today.
Right.
And so a Paraquel is a movie that takes place at the same time as the events of another movie. So some examples of that are Saw 3 and 4. They take place at the same time. Also, the Bourne Ultimatum and Bourne Legacy. Like the first good portion of those movies, like the first half or more of those movies, take place at the same time.
Okay.
So those are examples of paraquels.
Mm-hmm. A movie that's happening at the same time as the first movie.
Where the events are taking place at the same time as a different movie.
It's a different movie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's other examples out there though, but they're not as common as a lot of other movies. Most of them are kind of set and not like if they're in the same universe, there's a continuation or a prequel of a story.
We went into this movie not knowing. We knew a little bit about it. We didn't know everything about it. We thought, well, this is a good example of what we call a paraquel, you would say.
Yes.
So the movie is 10 Cloverfield Lane, and from what we caught, and look. When we're talking about this movie, there's going to be spoilers ahead, and maybe possible guest spoilers for the third movie, the Cloverfield Paradox.
Yes,
from what we're concerned, we have not seen the Cloverfield Paradox. Well, obviously, both of us have seen. You've seen Cloverfield, right?
Yes,
I've seen Cloverfield, and we obviously have now seen 10 Cloverfield Lane. The reason why we're kind of like about this is. This movie, even though they don't tell you what time it's set, doing our research, we found out that this movie is probably set in 2016.
Yes.
The first movie is set in 2008. Now, if they're happening at the same moments in time, that can't possibly be, because those are two different times.
Or right? Can it?
Or can it? So what we think, and this isn't us not seeing Cloverfield Paradox, is that
why don't we talk about that here in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Why don't we talk about that at the end?
Suspenseful. We're looking at suspense.
So when we went through here, we thought, well, it's not a paraquel, dang. And then the more we looked into it, we realized it is, but it also isn't.
Wait, no, let's not talk about that.
We're not.
No, let's talk about
the No Phony Podcast Network.
This movie stars John Goodman.
Yeah.
And it also stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yes.
This has a really small cast.
Oh, yeah.
John Gallagher Jr. from News Radio or Spring Awakening, if you're a Broadway fan.
Yeah. Not News Radio.
Oh, not News Radio. I'm sorry, Newsroom. Yeah. He was originally going to be Andy Dick's character.
He was 12 at the time.
It's a very small budget. This movie had a budget of 13 to 15 million, made 110.2 million at the box office. Rightfully so. There's not a lot of. There's just one set. There's 5 actors, maybe 4 actors in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's about four or five actors in this movie. And there's really not much going on. In fact, I mean, there is, but there isn't. Mary Winstead, what's her full name?
Mary Elizabeth
Winstead. I got to give her credit, okay? She does not talk until about 10 minutes into the movie.
Yes.
Which is crazy. A little bit more information about this movie. This is Dan Trachtenberg.
Yeah.
I butchered names, so I do apologize. This is his, what I want to say, his feature debut of a big movie.
Oh, was it really?
Jokes? Yeah, I want to say so. Has to be. This movie was also written by Josh Campbell, Matt Sturking, and Damien Chazelle. Damien Chazelle, that's right. La La Land's own Damien Chazelle. I had to look that up, and I was like, wait a minute. Damien Chazelle.
I could see it, with all the dance scenes.
All the dance scenes that they did. John Goodman was amazing. When he captured her, he was like, gotta capture you. All right. Do we have somewhat of a plot synopsis before we continue?
Yes. Mm-hmm. After getting in a car accident, a woman is held in a shelter with two men who claim the outside world was affected by a widespread chemical attack.
That's it.
That's
wonderful. Originally, this movie was entitled The Cellar.
Or Valencia.
Or yes. Trying not to... they tried to keep it under wraps. Any connection that it might have with Cloverfield. And I think they did a good job even after you watch the movie. Just joking. And here's where our, kind of conundrum lies, you would say, correct?
Yes.
Jeremy? So we are going to spoil this movie and, like I said, possibly spoil Cloverfield Paradox with our guesses on what that movie is.
Yes.
So just be aware that we have not seen the movie. If you have seen the movie, bear with us. We have not seen it. So if we're getting it all wrong, we're getting it all wrong.
Yes.
It's like a math quiz.
Yeah.
Like a formula that you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So where should we start with this? There's a lot to start with.
Yes, there is. First, I think we should start by talking about the No Phony Podcast Network.
Correct.
So the No Phony Podcast Network is the podcast network that we are on, the home of independent awesomeness. We have many different podcasts that are part of that, ranging from politics to comedy to music. We have just general chat. We have comic books, reading podcasts, and then of course this month, Grave Girls is they are the featured podcast of the month.
Well, there you go. Just in time for
doing some true crime stuff. So
true crime stuff that you want.
Indeed.
Grave Girl It Up.
Grave Girl It Up.
Sounded terrible. I do apologize, Grave Girls. Nothing was meant out of harm for that. So let's continue with 10 Cloverfield Lane, shall we?
We shall.
This movie, like I said, starts off with Michelle, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, packing a suitcase. Beautiful music, by the way, at the beginning.
It was.
I like the music. Right away, we get a stylistic version of what this movie is going to be, right?
Yeah.
The tension it builds from the get-go, which I like. We don't know what's going on. It's one of those movies where you just kind of fill in the blanks along the way, which again is something that I love. That also frustrates some people, but I like it. And like I said, she gets in a car crash, and that's pretty much a cold open for this movie. And then you see the opening credits. And I said pause it. And I said, I loved that opening. That opening was amazing. Well, because it sets up everything that you need to know.
So you see her on the phone. You see her packing stuff. And I don't know if you caught this or not too, but I get the feeling that there may have been some controlling things at home as well. Right. She has to open. She opens a drawer that has her stuff in it. She opens it with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
To get in there, which means it was locked up.
So you're thinking maybe there was some abuse that happened through there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she
That's
gets
my
all
guess.
yeah, and so she gets all of her stuff. You see, she is on the phone for a minute, but we don't actually hear what she's saying. And then you see her leave and leave her ring on the table or on a box or whatever it is, and takes off. And it's just very quiet, like she's driving through the country, doesn't say anything.
Itself, you know something's up. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know them, you know.
There's this suspenseful moment. It's like she drives up to a gas station. You don't see anybody else, but there's a truck there, and she kind of looks creeped out by it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's gassing up or whatever, and so she drives off.
Sure.
And she takes off, and not long after that, all of a sudden, the car just gets hit by something. Like, I didn't see what hit it at first.
The car?
Yeah.
Her car? No.
Yeah.
You don't.
It happens so fast that, yeah.
Right, because it happens so fast. This is a very, much like a puzzle.
Yeah.
We're putting the pieces together one bit at a time.
Yeah, and so
Which is good.
She bounces around the car, and then the sound cuts, and it's just black.
It says Cloverfield.
Cloverfield.
And then it switches.
Yeah.
It says 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yep. So it goes to 10 Cloverfield Lane.
So you know something's up.
Yeah. And then you see her spin and roll, and you see all her jostling around from the inside, and it's intercut with silences and.
Now we need to go back because her boyfriend, we assumed his name is Ben because of Ben comes up on the caller ID of her iPhone.
Yes.
And it is voiced by Bradley Cooper.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's running away from Bradley Cooper. So maybe that's the no, that was the Star is Born, not La La Land. Sorry, I got confused. All right. So there's that. So she wakes up and she's in. She doesn't know where she's at. She knows that there's an IV and everything, and that she's in some sort of room and she just can't figure out where.
Yeah, she's chained to the bed.
Yeah, she's chained to the bed. She's chained. She's got kind of a cast that's chained to the wall.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
And so she basically she is trying to get away, and it's really at this point it's your standard kind of kidnap film, trying to get out.
Well, you're like she's been kidnapped. This guy's an asshole, and he's our bad guy, right? You've seen these.
Yeah.
Everything's formulaic right now.
Yes. Nothing's
new.
Yeah. And he tells her that, hey, you need fluids.
Right.
You've been in an accident.
Yeah.
And, I found you on the side of the road. I brought you here. You were hurt. So here we are.
She's confused.
Yeah.
She just wants to leave. Because obviously she wants to leave. This is a creepy, wherever she's at. She assumes she's in some basement or something.
Yeah.
That's where creepy people tend to kidnap people and put them in. So, who knows? Our guy that kidnaps her and takes her to a bunker is John Goodman. Howard John Goodman. In what I want to say, probably one of my top 5 favorite John Goodman roles.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed him in this.
Yeah.
He had a way of creeping you out and actually making you actually like him at the same time. In a way, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very sympathetic moments and very creepy moments
very
at the same
creepy
time.
Moments. And I think this is one of his better roles. At
Yeah.
least in years.
No,
You know what I mean? So I say kudos for him. We'll talk a little bit more about all the performances, but
yeah.
So then we also meet that he's also has someone else in there too. We meet
Emmett,
played by John Gallagher Jr., not from News Radio but Newsroom.
Yes. It's
just the bitch of living, I guess. Anyway, so and no one's gonna get that reference. That's what's so sad about that. Okay, so he has a broken arm. He has come to the bunker because he helped build this bunker with Howard, so he knows about it, and he knew that that Howard would be there. So he, came to seek shelter. Howard says that something is going on up there. The air is unbreathable.
Yeah.
You cannot go up there.
He doesn't know whether it's nuclear or chemical.
We don't know what's been going on, but there's an attack that happened. So there's no reason for you to go up there. And she doesn't believe this at all. She thinks this is a ploy for basically to keep her grounded and to keep her to stay, right?
Yeah.
Plus she's if the abuse thing is there, she's been abused, so she's been lied to a lot in her life, so she doesn't know reality from fiction anymore. Because when you're in a relationship like that, you kind of tend to have a tendency to be all like, well, what's the truth and what's not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have a battle of that.
And at this point, she's really fighting to get out too. Like he was like, well, you might want to get used to using these because her leg was hurt. So he gave her some crutches to use. And
in true MacGyver fashion,
yes,
she
takes the key thing that he gave her to unlock her restraints and uses it to make like a spear out of the crutch. Ends up attacking. Well, she doesn't attack him because he doesn't show up, so she ends up setting fire to something and then like luring him there and then goes after him.
And it's almost like he gives her kind of, he's pissed, but he kind of gives her the benefit of the doubt because he's just like, she hasn't grasped what's been going on.
Yes.
Yet. I need to let her know. So, he gives us our exposition. And so does Emmett in a way, because gives more exposition towards who the Howard character is in a way. That's really the only reason why Emmett's there, also for her to have someone to confide in.
Yes.
It's really the only reason for Emmett to be there. Other than that, Emmett's just kind of a character.
But like also like he helps to either confirm or break our reality.
Right. In a way, he's kind of
what we have. Yeah.
In a way.
And so John Goodman shows her kind of what's been happening outside. So he takes her to the airlock, and you see there's two pigs that are over on the side that are both like dissolving or like basically rotting dead because they got attacked by something or they got and he said obviously exposure to the air did that, and she thinks, well, that doesn't really tell me anything.
Yeah. She also sees the truck.
Yes, that
and kind of deduces that he hit her.
Yes.
Made her go, AY or whatever. So she's like, no. So we've established our characters, right? We've established that here's Howard, by John Goodman. He's kind of, do we trust him? Do we not trust him? Is he the monster?
Yeah.
That we think he is? Is he not? Is she the hero? Is she someone that we need to follow because, she doesn't really know what's going on.
Right.
And obviously we know that it's a Cloverfield is in the title, so we know something's going on.
Yes.
Out there.
I also, like, at the beginning, too, I wasn't even sure if we could trust Emmett.
I didn't either. I didn't know if we could. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, can we trust him? Is he just trying to get information for Howard?
Yes.
I thought, you know what I mean? Like, trying to get her to open up.
Like, sometimes like killers work in pairs and stuff like that.
Right.
One's submissive.
Shit, Emmett's with Howard with that aspect. So we'll talk about that, but let's talk about the performances, shall we? Now that we've established kind of the characters
definitely
and the environment that we're in. As far as John Goodman, because that's what I've talked about, how did you enjoy his performance in this?
I really did like his performance. I think because he's got this he does a really good job of transitioning between like simple farm guy and like rage monster.
Yeah, I don't think he's John Goodman can overact sometimes.
Yeah,
and I think this is the most I've probably seen him restrain himself.
Yeah,
outside of a Coen Brothers movie. Do you know what I mean? And even that, sometimes he can.
But I think about him in Coen Brothers being over the top too. Think of him as
That's what I mean.
Day in Two Court,
right?
With Oh Brother Where Art Thou, where he's
right. But I'm also thinking about Inside Llewyn Davis, where he plays that character, and it's very kind of, even though it's eccentric.
Yes,
it's still controlled in a way.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
See that.
And so I kind of like this Goodman.
Yeah.
Like I like that people are letting. Again, it's like here's this person that's meant for comedy that can do a lot more than comedy, and is given through kind of the Coen brothers and other people given this opportunity to do more than just what they have known, to do for.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that because you're using John Goodman in a way that you should use John Goodman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about it. Also, there's moments where I was really freaked out, even though I know it's John Goodman.
Yeah.
Because out of this movie, even though we do know Mary Elizabeth Winstead, we know her from, what's that movie?
Final Destination 3.
Well, I was thinking,
Scott Pilgrim. Yeah. And Sky High.
We sort of know, you and I know John Goodman. Like John Goodman is a big face, a big name.
Yeah.
So he comes on screen, we're like, oh. And that could possibly take you out of reality.
Yes.
If you want. But I don't think it does in this movie. Also, when he shaved, that freaked me out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh shit, he shaved.
Yeah.
Like he was like, oh no.
Well, but a lot of stuff changed then too.
Yes.
Like that was just creepy in general. But no, he very much I'm doing this and blah blah blah. I worked doing this for a while and like he's very like.
But you could tell he was controlling.
Natured.
Like he wanted to control his life. He wanted to have control of his life. And here's a person who might have been abused, who came out of a situation already where the person was very controlling.
Yeah. Well, when there's the scene when they're at dinner, the first time they have the dinner together, and he freaks out at Emmett. Well, like when she's just talking to Emmett or whatever, and you see it go to his hands, and like he isn't like saying anything yet, but he starts doing like it starts flexing
there's good
his
reactions
hands.
To this.
Like
she knows exactly how to
balling
press
up his
the
fist.
buttons.
Yes,
of someone like this.
Yep.
To get him to be all like, and then reach for the keys to try to escape, which is what she does. But she doesn't escape, and instead we get this really intense scene with this, which is probably one of the most famous scenes probably of this movie, with the lady going, "Let me in, kind of thing." Well, don't let her in.
Because at this point she's like, "Oh, this is just." Well,
it's also like another character that as far as we're concerned, we're like, "Oh, this is just kind of a generic family now." All of a sudden, because they're getting along, doing stuff.
Well, and I think that like at this point she's like, I think this is before she came back in.
Yeah, this
is when she's like, "This is bullshit." She steals his keys. When she goads him into coming at her, she steals his keys. And he's like, "Hey, where are my keys?" She hits him in the head with a bottle and runs to get outside again. And that's when the lady's like, "You have to let me in. Let me in." And she's like hitting her head on the airlock. And he's behind her saying, "You can't do it. Don't let her in. Like, she's sick. Look at her." And it's this weird, like, he doesn't sound like he's angry. He sounds like he's scared for her. Like, you can't, don't do it. Like, she's gonna hurt all of us. In the way
I think he is.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
And I have some my theories of John Goodman's character.
Okay.
Because obviously he gives a photo of his daughter,
right?
Or what she thinks is his daughter.
Yeah.
And she says, "Oh, this is my daughter, Megan." Is that what it?
Yeah, I think it's Megan. I think.
And Emmett's like, "That's not Megan."
Well, yeah. So later on, like when Mary Elizabeth Winstead comes back in, she's calmer then, and now he seems sweet. Like they do a good job of that. So he seems sweeter now, just very stodgy and whatever. But he's like talking about how his daughter, like the mother turned her against him, and like they went to Chicago and like blah blah blah. And he like shows a picture of her. Said, "Oh, she loved Paris. She wanted to be French and all this stuff." And so it was pretty interesting. Like he seemed like, "Oh, okay, well, this is, a sweeter moment," and gives her some of Megan's clothes and all that kind of fun stuff. So, but yeah. So later on,
it's to fix like
the air filtration system. Yeah. There's something happens. It sounds like a helicopter comes overhead.
Yeah.
Searching for something, and they're like, "Uh-oh, I know what this is. This is."
Well, she says that sounds like helicopters. Oh, that's not helicopters. That could be their helicopters.
Yeah, he said it's not one of ours.
It's not one of ours. Well, could that be?
Yeah. And is it invading force? Is it aliens?
Right.
Who knows?
So so she goes through a crawl space and has to go and restart the filtration thing.
Yes.
But in that process, she sees like an overhead window.
There's a different entrance.
Yeah.
Like a back entrance, and it has the back entrance has a window there.
A window.
And she goes up
locked, obviously.
Yeah. She goes up to look out of it, and she sees some scratches. She pulls back this little the window, little slide hatch across the window, and it has from the inside "help" scratched into it. And the last end of "help" is kind of bloody.
Right. And so there's reasons why this is what I believe.
Yeah.
This might not be true, but this is what I got from the movie. Is that obviously the picture wasn't Megan. It was this girl that had been kidnapped that Emmett knew. Oh, she's been kidnapped and she had disappeared. Right. And no one knew where she was.
Brittany. Yeah.
I believe that Brittany was kidnapped by Howard.
Yeah.
Was kept down there. I think that he was doing that as a test because I think he knew what was going to happen. And so he had built, or he has a conspiracy theories and he built this bunker, right? Mm-hmm. And then through his job, through the Navy and through everything that he had worked for the satellite company that we had talked, we haven't talked about that yet though. He, I think he was privy to some information that he knew and couldn't say. So he continued to build the shelter, right? And I think he used Brittany as a test to figure out how long he could stay down here and everything and kind of just build that. So I believe that he was being abusive towards Brittany and he was kidnapping her, but he was using her as a test to figure it out. That's what I believe. And I believe that that's terrible if that's true. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think that it has... I don't think that it was a part of a test. I think that he went nuts after his wife probably took his daughter, and he was basically making her his daughter.
Right.
Because we see later on, too, when, so Mary...
Do you think, all this just came into coincidence? Do you think he was serially collecting people and then putting them down in the bunker and telling them not to leave?
I think it was just one gal.
I just think it was one gal too. I think it was that Brittany girl.
Yes. I think it was Brittany. And we know that Emmett, because Emmett was like, yeah, she was in my class. Yeah. Well, he's not that young. He's past college age.
Right.
And so... Brittany's been gone for a while. And so, she is, we even see, she's wearing in this one picture the same Je t'aime shirt that, he gave to, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Right. I think that what happened was he kidnapped somebody to basically be his daughter so that he would have that family.
But in the process, I think that he also was kind of testing the bunker as well. That's what I'm saying.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To make sure that everything was copacetic.
Yeah.
So I think it just was kind of killing two birds with one stone. I know it's a terrible thing to say about someone who's kidnapping a person, but I'm just saying.
And
then I think this was all just coincidence too, as far as what was going on.
Well, I think he was a conspiracy theorist anyway, but I think he was using that. I don't think that he knew aliens were coming or anything, but
I think he knew something was coming.
I think he just was crazy. I think he's just a doomsday prepper.
Okay. Because there's a lot of preparation he had.
A ton. But that's how those doomsday preppers are, though.
Okay, I'm just saying.
No, they are. They are crazy. Anyway, so I think the thing that points to me as evidence, the fact that I don't think it was he was doing anything sexual. I don't think it was
no, I don't think so either. I think it was daughter related.
And
he wanted his daughter back.
And the reason I think that is because there's a scene where they're doing some sort of, I don't know, Pictionary but not drawing, or charades but without acting or whatever it was. But they are. The word was, it was a book, Little Women, and he said he got little, and then he said what she is, what Michelle is. And he was like, girl, princess, girl, child.
All these childish things.
Yes.
And not necessarily
he's
adult things.
Yeah. He was like, women.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you should be more specific.
Sure. Now, let's talk about, can we talk about John Gallagher Jr.? I talked to him briefly. This is an okay character. And he plays it fine. Mm-hmm. He does the job well, right?
Yeah.
It's also like anyone really could have played this role. There's nothing like spectacular about it. Having said that, like what John Gallagher Jr. does is great.
Yes.
I like what he does. Again, I was with you. I didn't quite know if he was with Howard or without Howard.
Yes. But I'm glad that they didn't do that.
And then when he
gets
when he gets killed at the end, it's pretty shocking because he just shoots him.
Yeah.
After showing this batch of acid that he has.
So what starts us off is that same game that they were playing. They planned a while ago that they're going to get out the back way. One person's going to escape. She's going to they're going to take his gun, tie him up. One person's going to escape and look for survivors, and then bring help. And they're making, out of a shower curtain, they're making like a hazmat suit. And she wanted to be designer, so she's putting it together. And then they're playing the game, and the clue, he's talking to Emmett.
I know what you do all the time.
I know what you're doing. Yeah. I see you all the time. I know what you're up to. This and this. And he keeps saying it, and Emmett's like, what are you talking about? And like starts freaking out. Yeah. And then she says something about like, I know when you've been bad. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead's like, Santa Claus. Like, he was just like, she jumps in, and I think that's kind of the catalyst for like, wait, something's going on, because they were acting weird. Yeah. So he brings this vat of acid out, and he's like, what's going on? And he said he dissolves some of their stuff that they were using because he went and searched for whatever. So then he says,
it's scissors and a knife.
Yeah, and the box cutter and stuff like that to make the outfit. Which I'm just like, tell them that you're just making clothes.
Tell them you're doing a collage because you just want to have something bright on the wall.
Yeah, whatever.
Really? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But so Emmett jumps in and tries to be heroic and says it's all him. He did it. They were going to try to get his gun. But he just wanted to seem powerful like him. Like he wanted to be respected. Just like how Michelle respects Howard. And like this thing kind of stoking his ego. And he's like, I'm really sorry. And he goes, oh, well, I accept your apology. And then just shoots Emmett.
I know. I was like, what the?
Yeah. And so he's like, well, you better get out of here. Go to your room.
He said the wrong thing. I think it's because he wanted to have Michelle respect him like he did.
Yeah.
Because there's no possible way he could. Because you've never had a daughter.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
So obviously that was bullshit.
Well, also, like, you almost get this, like, when it's not necessarily like a sexual thing, it's almost like a dad who's getting mad at whoever's daughter is dating.
Right.
It's like that amped up to 100.
Right. Kind of. Yeah.
And so, he goes, he's like, go to your room and I'm going to take care of this. Yeah. It's going to be pretty nasty. And so he ends up taking care of it and then goes to get her. But that's when he's clean shaven and in like a dress shirt.
Freaked me out. I went, did he just shave?
Yeah. And brings her ice cream and like all this stuff. He was like, Megan likes it in a bowl. So he gives her the bowl.
Which also is like when people shave, it's very like an abusive thing. Like maybe he'd been abused too because they don't like to have hair on themselves. I don't know. That could be possible too, that Howard himself was abused when he was younger and didn't want that to happen to children. Perhaps. Don't know. Just making that shit up. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go to Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I like her. I love her. You're on and off about her, I think.
I like her for the most part.
I think she's wonderful in this movie.
Yeah, I like her in a lot of stuff. don't really
think she was amazing in Fargo. But she was just outstanding in Fargo season 3.
Yes, she was. And I liked her in Scott Pilgrim. I really liked her. My favorite role was probably her in Sky High. I thought she was really good in that.
She has a way of, like, there's these actors that don't say a lot.
Oh. She was also Bruce Willis's daughter in Live Free or Die Hard. She's Lucy.
So there's
McLean.
these actors, before you told me that, pointless information, there's these actors that have, just saying, Live Free and Die Hard, really? We're going there?
Why not?
We're going there. That they don't have a lot of dialogue a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like Harrison Ford reminds me of that. You know, there's not like these big monologues that they give.
Yes.
But the way that they interact with people and the way that they interact with the situations, their inner dialogue is so well done.
Yeah.
I think she is one of those people that just, you kind of feel what she's thinking in those moments, in the scenes that she's in. And I think that steals a movie for me more than even like a bigger production of a portrayal of you know what I mean? Because obviously John Goodman's going to steal this movie, right?
Right.
I don't think so. I think she holds her own to John Goodman in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Flat out.
No, I never feel like it's interesting. She talks about this thing where she has this thing where she says, Emmett says he feels guilty for basically throwing college, like basically saying like I didn't go because I was scared. And she was like, well, I regret I saw some kid getting abused, and when I was growing up I had gotten abused,
right?
You know, and I had this opportunity to help this little girl, and I ran away. I do what I always do. I ran away.
You ran away.
Yeah. And so but like the whole thing, like I don't see where she's running away or shrinking or whatever. Like she's always like, she takes moments to reflect, but then like comes out swinging.
I think she's calculated on the swings. I think she has to be. I think someone, you know, again, in the same lines of a Split.
I was gonna say she reminds me of her in Split. What I mean? Yeah,
where like she is calculated in the way she does. She just doesn't go out and like, I'm just gonna try to get out of this situation by punching.
Yes,
you know what I mean. She's very meticulous in how she plans. You know, she's like, we're gonna do it this way. And then you don't even see the drawing until later on, and then they're building this, hazmat suit in a way.
Yes.
So it's like, I like that. And I like that in the character, and I like that. And I feel like in terms of, it's a survivor in a way. Mm-hmm. So this movie is a lot. And a little bit about Split too. But like, I think 10 Cloverfield Lane is about abuse in a way. And about how people control other people, manipulate other people.
Yeah.
You know, and her in turns kind of manipulated Emmett in a way to try to get him to get her the things that she wanted, and vice versa. And Howard and everyone kind of did. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
When they're confined in that one small bunker, you kind of just go with the punches, I guess. So that's the way it is. But the end of this movie we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Shall we? Because this is where things get a little bit
right. Well, she manages to get away from Howard.
Right.
He sees the stuff in her room, like, because she's trying to hide the mask, and he sees part of the outfit. Tells her to get up. She grabs it and runs, and locks him in the room. And when she does that, she takes off. She thinks she's got the time, so she runs and grabs his like little can of Freon from his room, and of course we get to see Emmett eating away in a bath of acid in the meantime, which is great. But then sees she grabs it, but Howard shows up. He manages to get out, and she ends up dumping the acid on the ground. And he like falls into it, and so of course it's eating away at him some. She gets out of there, like basically swings through the doorway, avoids the acid, and goes running. And it sets off the stuff starts on fire too. So she's getting away. She's trying to get into the vents to escape, and she goes and gets the stuff. He's coming after her, and he's like kind of melty face. She dumps the shelf on him.
Okay, yeah,
gets over it, gets into the vents, and like this is all pretty intense. Like, and so she's going through the vents to escape, like the way she went through before to do the system.
Mm-hmm.
He's like stabbing into the vents as she goes. And she gets to the end. He grabs a hold of her. She breaks his arm and basically just gets out of there. So she gets all suited up and goes outside. And you see some stuff in the background that says like caution, flammable or explosive. And so she gets outside. She's walking away. At one point, she rips open her suit accidentally.
When she's outside.
Reaching into his truck. Yeah. And she freaks out and tapes it up.
Well, when she takes her, because she's like, I see birds.
Well, yeah, she sees birds then.
And so she's like, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, so she takes the mask off.
Maybe this has been all just a fake thing, to get me to,
Yeah.
to kill me for a serial killer,
Yeah.
So she takes her mask off and she's like, oh, and she hears like birds in the background and stuff. And so she's like, oh, everything's fine. And then, of course, everything's not fine.
Yeah.
She gets on top of the truck and then she realizes it looks like a helicopter. So she's like, oh my God, a helicopter.
Yeah.
Right? So then doesn't the bunker explode?
Yes.
And then that causes the helicopter to move forward. When it's not a helicopter, it looks like a really creepy spaceship that's coming her way.
Yes.
Oh shit.
And she goes, you gotta
Howard
be kidding
was
me.
Right the whole fucking time.
Yeah,
that's
you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
So she...
That was my favorite. She's like, you gotta be kidding me. Meaning that he was right.
Yeah.
The whole time. Having said that, like, even though he is right...
Yes.
Should she has escaped then? I mean...
Well, but it's an interesting thought. Because, like, I was like... So my thought, like, so if she gotten out and it hadn't exploded...
Right.
Were you going to just go back to them?
Right.
Or, like, what were you going to do?
Right.
Exactly. So, like, it's this weird thing about, like, do you accept your fate there because you don't want it to be outside? Or do you accept your fate out here? Cause
even though it didn't explode. Let's say it didn't explode. Like, you know what I mean? You accept it there. You don't leave, Yeah. Because obviously he was telling the truth, Even though Howard's a monster himself, because he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's a monster in his own making.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. It's like, who do you want to deal with? Do you want to deal with this monster, or do you want to deal with these things you've never, ever experienced in your life?
Yeah.
These aliens. She can understand Howard because she's been through situations like that. She's been abused.
Yeah.
Or might have been.
We presume, yeah.
She has not dealt with aliens coming at her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So she runs and she tries to get into this car and sets off the alarm and ends up running into this barn where she's like, she sees a body there, realizes that these alien things come out and are trying to like hit in the car, trying to figure out how to make it stop.
And in a way, this part of the movie reminds you of Aliens.
Yes.
I mean, it does.
Yeah.
She's like Sigourney Weaver.
Like War of the Worlds, too.
Yeah, kind of in a way.
The updated one.
Yeah. No, I've never seen that. You know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think John Goodman was he in that one, too?
Well, I don't know.
There's a scene that has some very similar moments.
Okay.
Where they're all like downstairs trying to be quiet.
And she's in the truck, and then one of the big alien like in the spaceship like picks her up, right?
Well, first she manages to set the alarm, like turn off the alarm, which the alien goes and looks at it. Yeah. When she starts running towards his house, and like the alien is chasing her, and she goes to the house where there's lights on, and she's like calling out to it, but what you realize is it's just a ship behind the house, and you can see the lights through it. So once it comes up, it starts spraying gas, probably the same gas that killed everything.
Yeah.
And so she's running from it, gets her suit on. The alien ends up, like, I think he ends up getting blown up.
Yes.
Yeah. And
because she has some whiskey or something in the
Well, she gets inside the truck, and so he's on top of that. The ship comes by and picks it up, and she's going up, and she's just kind of like, sure, like this, fuck, all right. So then she finds a lighter. She basically makes a Molotov cocktail, throws it in the little mouth that's on the ship, blows it up, and it's time for her to get away then.
Right.
And so it's like all this crazy shit going down.
She finds the keys and then she takes the car and she runs. And she drives.
Yeah. And as she goes, then you hear more of, like, because you heard earlier on while she's driving, they were like power outages on the southern seaboard, like, basically talking about these things going on. Now they're saying
she's headed to Baton Rouge.
They're saying if you want to be safe, go north to Baton Rouge. Stay north above Baton Rouge, because we're holding them off. But like, obviously, it's a lot of effort.
Right.
And then they said, but there's survivors in Houston. Like, help us hold these things off so we can get to them.
Right.
Anybody who's able to. And this is her moment because she's right at the junction between going to Houston or going north to Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
And she sits there for a moment and looks and decides to head towards Houston. And of course, as she's driving there, you see lightning flash behind this cloud, and you can see the shape of one of those ships in the cloud still. Okay. So we know that she's gonna have a hell of a time there.
But still. So, and then the credits roll.
Yep.
She, for once, didn't run away. In fact, she rode into danger to try to save other people. So she learned something, and she, Do you think that, like, and you've been deuced by that, by the way, on
deuced.
that one.
Deuced.
Do you think that, I don't think that I need to see the movie of her traveling there. Or the movie of her going there, because I don't think that's the story.
I think her story's done.
I think the story is her surviving the bunker and what she has to go through in order to learn. Like, that's the story, right?
I agree.
And if anyone takes from that, then they were doing it correctly. I think, bullshit. If you think this is a terrible movie and you're like, I don't like it because I didn't get to see aliens the whole time. Well, fuck you. That's not what the story is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So here's where we are kind of like iffy on what this is.
Well, because originally what I had heard, pardon, I won't blame you for this, was that both of these happened simultaneously.
We're going on at the same time, right?
Yeah,
I heard that
because there was such like mystery behind it. Because up until like the crew and the cast thought the name of this was Valencia.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Because that's what they named it as. They didn't even know. It was on the script. They didn't hear beforehand that it was Cloverfield. They heard none of that.
Really?
And they only announced it.
Do you think John Goodman and her knew, though, Elizabeth? Mm-mm. No, really?
No. They didn't announce it until like 6 weeks before. Something like that.
Really?
Yeah. They waited till like late. I think they did it during like, there was some Benghazi movie that they did it during. Where all of a sudden it said Cloverfield Lane instead of whatever. And they were like, oh, God.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Because trying to get, in 2016 to keep that a secret is quite amazing.
Yeah, they had to really stick to their guns on that one. So
see, here's the thing, though, but because we've never seen the Clover Paradox, and obviously this is not what we thought it was going to be. We thought it was going to be around the same time. So
I was pissed. Because I was just like, we wasted our time watching this.
I calmed you down and I said, perhaps this still is, because I think and I believe, and again, our audience can correct me if I'm wrong because we have not seen the Clover Paradox. My guess is that these are alternate dimensions. So Cloverfield, the movie, is in a different dimension than 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes.
And these things that happen through the Clover Paradox, whatever that is, are sparking these things inside different timelines or different universes.
So I will tell you. If
that's the case, then this is just a alternate dimension Paraquel.
Yes, it is. Well, okay,
it's almost its own genre.
Well, so remember how I said yes and no?
Yes, it was yes and no.
Paraquel, yes and no.
Yeah.
So I did read up a little bit as to what's going on in the whole timeline of everything.
Right.
So
You read up on the Cloverfield paradox?
A little bit.
No, why did you do that and not me?
Well, I read up on it a little bit.
Well, I just wanted, to be surprised, but whatever.
Well, no. So, and I briefly have told you about this too.
But that's what I believe.
Yes.
And I believe that that's probably correct, but getting to there is in itself then the story of Cloverfield paradox. And that might be a reason why people might not have liked that movie.
Yes.
I don't know.
So, well, and the aliens are different. Everything is different, right? So, I think what it is that happens, and I just from my brief reading of it, was that in this other world where like the paradox happens, they, in their effort to do whatever, they open up like rifts in time.
That's what I think.
So all these monsters are showing up throughout the timeline.
Right.
So from the perspective of the Cloverfield paradox, it's a paraquel because all these timelines are getting invaded at the same time from their perspective.
Correct.
From our perspective, being the viewer in one of these timelines, they look like they're not.
They look like they're not. But I believe that the Cloverfield paradox is probably the paraquel, not like you said.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Not this. This is not the paraquel. It's like they're slipping into like these monsters are going into different timelines. Yes. Like, you know what I mean?
So it's more of a paraquel with the paradox and not a paraquel with the other.
And the reason why I say this is because the fourth one that's rumored supposed to be, you said it's supposed to be in World War II.
World War II.
Why the hell? How the hell is it going to be World War II?
Yes.
But here's the thing that I actually like about that. Okay, is the fact that not only can you can pick up any Cloverfield and start anywhere.
Yes.
Because it's true, you can. You don't need to necessarily start with Cloverfield. You can start with Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah.
You can start with this one, 10 Cloverfield Lane. You could start with the fourth one if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because to me, they're all kind of going at the same time, but they're not.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can just jump in at any moment, which I kind of like that.
Yes.
And I think that you can just then go crazy with these and go whatever you want with them. And you can almost you can have a steampunk version. You can have this version where it's a captivity version, which is a thriller. You can have all these different genres mixed in with horror. Like, how awesome is that?
Yeah, it's very awesome.
It's very awesome. Like, why wouldn't you want that?
Yes.
Like, I think that's amazing. So, and I think it's because we're so used to like the Marvel universe being connected, having all this stuff, we have to have it connected, that these are not necessarily connected, but they're only connected through the inner paradox of it.
Yeah, through one
I think
point.
that's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh no, I think it's good too.
So and people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that that's what it is. But let's do our 5 questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of this movie?
Look, I really did enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this movie because it's a different aesthetic. Like, it's different than the first movie, Cloverfield Lane. And for me, Cloverfield isn't even the first movie. Like, if it is, it's more like it is the first movie to be released. But to me, timeline, it's not the first movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I said, you can just do anything with these movies if that's where they're going. And if that's the case, do it.
Yes.
Because then you can just rewrite everything. And like, you don't have to you don't have to be bogged down with so much exposition, you can just go with it.
Yes.
Let's go with the ride. I did enjoy the first 10 minutes of this movie. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought the performances were great. I thought there's the good use of music, especially children behave.
Yeah.
That's what they say when we're together. And there's like another one where it's like, I think we're alone now.
Yeah.
I love that. But really, there's a scene that happens between Emmett and Michelle that happens, and they're putting together the puzzle at the end of that.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Damn it, we're missing a bunch of puzzle pieces." She's like, they got to be around here somewhere. But like, look, there's no eye. Like, this cat only has one eye. Man, I feel bad for this cat. I'm like, well, we just need to figure it out, And I love that because it's meta in a way, because it's like at that moment we're like, oh shit, what's going to happen now is that she's going to find something else. Like, it's like foreshadowing for me, and it's a good use of foreshadowing.
Yes.
It is beating me over the head a little bit with it, but I love that it is, in a way.
Yeah. Well,
and
so like, that scene to me was, I liked, because she's the cat.
Yes.
Because there's a cat in a fishbowl.
Yes.
And the first 10 minutes, she doesn't talk, but she spends the entire movie not saying things.
Yes.
Because there's so much more. We don't know about whether she's abused or not. We don't know. You know, she says that she wanted to be a designer. Well, what happened? Did you go? Did you do design? Did you, give it up? What happened?
Right. We actually know more about Howard and Emmett than we really do about her.
Yes.
And she's our main character.
Yeah, very much so.
So it's like, I like that. That, to me, represents the whole movie right there.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
But no,
And it's a hole. If you're talking about a paradox or a black hole, it's a hole. It's missing. There's something missing.
Yeah.
And that could be,
Yeah. No, honestly, she's probably my favorite part of the movie. And not just because, I don't know, not just because I like her acting or whatever, but like also because she very much, like that character, she is down on times, but like then we don't have like where she suddenly switches to be like, now I'm badass. Like she's always
doubting herself.
Yes.
Always.
And she's always like very protected and whatever. Even when she's close to somebody, she's not so close to somebody. Like she, like, I don't know. She's just such an interesting character to me. And I never,
probably the closest she ever got was probably Emmett.
Yes.
Probably through her whole life. That was probably like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I only, I don't ever feel like she's weak or anything like that either.
No, but I also know that she's not like...
Yes.
Like super powered.
Yes, but she's also... And she's not cliched. She's not whatever. Like, I think it's a great character. And I think part of that is because of her portrayal. Not necessarily because... I mean, yes, written that way. But I think she portrays it with an element of strength. Like, I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead always has that.
Right.
And... it's interesting, like Emmett, factoring him out. When you look at John Goodman, who is this person who is like a very angry character, troubled character, but he's a big guy, like physically imposing. And she, like, I never get the feeling like she's like weak compared to him or anything like that.
No.
I'm just like, she seems like a character who could go toe to toe.
Yeah, and she does.
Yeah.
And acting wise, she does too.
Oh, yeah.
Second question?
Reboot, continue, or cancel.
Keep going with this thing as much as you can, because you can just be so creative with it.
Yeah.
It's just endless and boundless, right?
Yeah.
I say keep going.
Yeah. Well, and so like one of them was a big monster invasion.
It's
one
an
of them
anthology in a way.
Yeah. One of them was
anthology.
Yeah. One of them was. These aliens invading who are more organized and whatever. Okay, so like you could have
kaiju movie,
have a film noir,
right? One was a kaiju movie. This one was a thriller, kind of in a way.
Have a film noir.
Have a film noir.
Yeah.
Have a war movie.
Yeah. They should have put in that Neighborhood Watch movie. Should have been a Cloverfield movie, and then have it be a comedy. Just get it out of the way.
The one with Paul Rudd.
That's Neighbor.
Neighbor. Okay,
I'm thinking Neighborhood Watch is the one with.
Talking about.
Oh God, who was in that? Vince Vaughn's in it, and Richard Ayoade.
I thought Paul Rudd was in that.
Is he?
I thought so.
No, maybe I don't think so. Is it Adams? The Neighborhood Watch. I watched.
But what about you? You said continue with this?
Yeah, I think you could do all sorts of stuff with it.
Yeah.
Like a post-apocalyptic world where
no.
No.
Even a comedy. You could even do a horror comedy. I mean, people do horror comedies all the time. You can still do that. There's nothing that says that you can't. You can do whatever you want. You know what I mean? You're not followed. You're not stuck, and you're also not stuck with. Like you're not stuck with like a franchise that's, for instance, Friday the 13th. You're not stuck with Jason being the villain all the time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're not stuck with the same villain. You're just and you have all these different types of say aliens, and you can just go hog wild with it. Why wouldn't you want to continue with it?
Oh no, I agree.
What's number 3?
Number 3 is, does this stand on its own?
Yeah. Oh yes, this stands on its own. There's nothing that says that you need to. Like I said, you could pick this movie up and be the first one that you watch. Yeah. Why not? The only thing connecting it is that it has Cloverfield in it. And that might piss people off, but I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, that's what Friday the 13th was originally intended to be.
Really?
That's something I learned we went through there. So, like, the second movie, obviously, we have this killer in the woods. Well, the story was supposed to originally be like multiple different urban legends surrounding the date. So the linking thing in this anthology was the date, but everything else was different from that. But I don't know if, I think in the past this might have pissed people off more, but like you see a lot more stuff now with like, what is it, room? What is it? Room,
like anthology series.
Or number 9 or whatever it is.
I just think this is an anthology series through the movies.
Yeah, you now see these anthologies where it's connected by this very thin, like, connection point, like the number of a hotel room or the number of a building or whatever it is. Like, you now see these very thin anthologies where it's like they're standalone stories, but they have some sort of like minuscule interconnectivity, and like I think there's a lot more acceptance for that now.
Yeah, that's true.
Versus in the past. And whether this was part of what helped to catalyze that a little bit or not, I don't know. But like,
you think it stands on its own?
I think it stands on its own. Yeah. Yeah, because the movie's allowed to stand. Just like Friday the 13th Part 2 should have been, a standalone kind of thing without the Jason legend in there, but they ended up having to jam that in at the end.
Sure.
Like it was just supposed to be its own, that's why the camp is not Crystal Lake. That's why things are not the same. It's because it was supposed to be a new story. But
go ahead.
Let me see here. So number 4, does this make you want to watch the first one?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me want to watch the first one. It makes me want to watch the Paradox movie.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I heard it's not that great, but why is it not great? Are these people just saying it's not great because they don't like the fact that it's not connected in the Marvel way? Like, what is it about it? So, I'm willing to accept that. I haven't seen Cloverfield in a while. I think Matt Reeves is actually a really good director. I've enjoyed his work, so I would go back and watch that. I love Lizzie Kaplan. She's amazing, so she's in that movie. Unfortunately, T.J. Miller is in that movie. I don't like T.J. Miller. Anyway, but I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I would too. Like, I mean, it's been a while, so I wouldn't mind going back through and just watching them like end to end.
Yeah.
And just knowing more about it.
Yeah.
And I think that this is like, I don't know. Honestly, I would rather almost do this. And don't get me wrong, I love the Marvel movies. Like, me, I'm a huge comic geek. And so, I think the thing that gets me though is like, there's this beautiful simplicity to this where it's like, there is one connection point and everything just connects to one thing.
Right.
As opposed to, here is like this web of interconnectivity where you're like, wait a minute, and you add more threads in there, and it's like, wait. Like, so then if something changes or goes wrong, then you have to undo the whole.
See, there's the thing though, like, I think Ryan Murphy is guilty of doing this, where he just puts too much sometimes.
Yeah.
He used to put too much in American Horror Story.
Yeah.
To where it's like, here comes another plot line. Like, why are we doing this plot line? Why are we starting that in episode 8?
Yeah.
So I think they have something where it's not chaining them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's letting them just do whatever they want. And I think that's such a freedom thing and such a creative thing to do nowadays that you don't get that often.
Yes.
You have to like appease to fans and put that in there and then this in here and that in there. You don't need to do any of that in these movies. You just need to have a fun time. Go ahead. So did you say you would?
Oh yeah, okay. Very much so. And then sum up your experience in 2 words.
My 2 words are Howard's End.
Why?
I'm just joking.
Oh, Howard. I was like, wait, is this connected to Howard's End? Or
just, I don't know, like thriller allegory are my two words, and they don't go together, but it's just like, it's good to have another movie where there is allegories in it, but they're not forced to you. You're there to work at them, and you're thrilled by it in the process. I think that that Jordan Peele has ushered this in with Get Out, and has brought that to the forefront again through what Rod Sterling was trying to do with the Twilight Zone in a way.
Yeah.
And I think that there's this new genre that you have now that or not this new genre, but this rebooted genre that I think is amazing and is keeping people fresh in what they're doing, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would put this up there with that, where you have this, allegories, and it's not like I don't feel like at any time Hollywood said, no, we need to do it this way with this movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There wasn't that many like notes, I feel like, that this movie got that said like, no, we don't think that she's not being sympathetic, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My words will be final girl.
Yeah. She's a great final girl.
Well, because in multiple ways, like she's final girl when it comes to, she escapes Howard, she escapes the aliens.
The alien.
She escapes Ben.
She escapes
maybe like
herself.
She's but something that I think a lot of times, like, you get these movies where at the end of it, the final girl is like, "Whew, thank God that's over," and they ride off into the sunset or to safety,
she goes to
or
Baton
whatever.
Rouge in safety, but no.
Yeah, but I think like she is like, you get the perfect piece of her being like, you know what? I can't run from this.
Yeah.
And so she goes to help. Like, she could just drive north and be fine, but she's putting herself back into danger.
Sure.
And quite frankly, she may die before here and there. Like, she may not even make it to Houston, but she's going to try.
Yeah. But damn it, she's going to try.
Yeah.
Which is more than what she came up with to begin with.
And if her life is over, then it's over. But she's at least going to try to save somebody else. Yeah. And so, like, I'm just like, wow, like, you see final girls and stuff, and you, like, sometimes just because they survive, we're meant to think they're stronger on the other side, but like, you actually get the sense that she is stronger on the other side because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can rent this online for $2.99, $3.99 if you're lucky. And yeah. So what else we got going on our squills?
So we've done the quels.
Oh, I'm sorry, the quels.
So we've done our
Heroes and a
side
Half Quell, Turtle
side
Power.
quell. We've done our Paraquel now.
Sort of, I guess.
Yeah, it's a Paraquel.
It is a Paraquel.
We're counting it.
I'm gonna
count it. If I need to sleep after trying to figure this out, I'll take my NyQuil.
Yeah, right.
But we coming up, we have our. We're going to talk about a midquel.
A midquel.
Yes.
Wow. Folks, we're going crazy. We're going midquels.
We're going midquel. And then we have an interquel coming up.
What?
Yeah.
What?
What do all these terms mean?
What do all these terms mean? You'll
What do
find
these
out
mean?
soon, folks. But until then, you've been deuced.